If you treat success as a final destination, a place where you finally arrive and stop working, you are building a house of cards. The moment a real crisis hits, that static version of success shatters. There is a standard blueprint for the middle-class dream in India. You study relentlessly to crack competitive entrance exams, you land a secure job at a top-tier IT firm, and eventually you secure a highly paid life abroad. Yuvesh Kumar Singh followed this exact blueprint. He started in a Hindi medium school in Varanasi, where English felt like a barrier to his engineering dreams. He understood the complex math and physics concepts, but the language of the exams was foreign. He forced himself to adapt. He sat in the front row of his engineering classes, decoding lectures word by word until he mastered the language. That persistence led him to Wipro, and eventually to a master's program in computer science at California State University. By his late 20s, Yuvesh had reached the peak of the blueprint. He was living in the United States, managing global enterprise projects for major firms, and earning a six-figure salary in dollars. Checking off every item on society's approved list creates a false sense of invincibility. It leads people to assume that professional and financial security provide a shield against a personal collapse. Behind the impressive resume, his personal life was fracturing. Between 2013 and 2015, constant tension pushed his marriage toward failure. He eventually left his executive job and moved back to India in an attempt to stabilize his family life. Upon returning, he prepared to start over for the sake of his pregnant wife. In June 2015, his daughter was born. He held her in the hospital for the first time, only to be told 24 hours later that he was being permanently separated from her. This schematic shows how extreme emotional trauma can trigger a physiological breakdown. The acute stress caused his body to buckle. 2 weeks after losing his daughter, at just 32 years old, Yuvesh suffered a massive stroke on the left side of his brain. Because the left hemisphere controls language, the stroke knocked out his ability to speak. The man who recently directed international tech teams could no longer finish a sentence. While he struggled to hold a spoon, he was dragged into a series of family court battles for custody and divorce. External achievements offer no protection against biological and emotional collapse. Society provides a rigorous curriculum for how to achieve, but offers very little instruction on how to survive the fall. Sitting in the family court, exhausted and physically weak, Yuvesh realized he had to stop merely enduring his trauma. He decided to shift from a victim of his circumstances to the architect of his own recovery. He began treating success as a daily, repeatable process rather than a distant endpoint. This meant focusing on specific micro-habits designed to restore his physical and mental baseline one day at a time. The first priority was managing the panic attacks that gripped him during hearings and physical therapy. He adopted the 5-5-5 breathing method, inhaling for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and exhaling for 5 seconds. This diagram illustrates the mechanism. Rhythmic breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, the primary component of the parasympathetic nervous system. Vagus nerve stimulation acts as a biological brake, shifting the body out of a panicked fight-or-flight state and into a restorative state. Stabilizing his heart rate allowed Yuvesh to sit through hostile courtroom proceedings without collapsing. It provided the physical calm necessary to begin the grueling years of physiotherapy required to regain movement in his limbs. Regulating your physiological response is the mandatory foundation for any comeback. Without this biological reset, the brain remains locked in survival mode, making it nearly impossible to process trauma or focus on a career. Once he regained physical stability, Yuvesh had to address the mental barrier, the overwhelming guilt and loss of self-worth that follows a total life collapse. He stood in front of a mirror every morning, forcing himself to speak words of self-acceptance to a paralyzed reflection. He combined these affirmations with vivid visualizations of himself walking and leading teams again. This visualization practice targets the reticular activating system, or RAS. The RAS acts as the brain's filter, determining what information reaches our conscious mind. While trauma trains the RAS to look for pain, intentional visualization forces the filter to look for opportunities and growth. By repeatedly picturing his recovery, Yuvesh stimulated the motor cortex and emotional centers of his brain. These mental rehearsals formed new neural connections, biologically aligning his mind with his goals before his body had reached them. He anchored these visualizations in a physical goal book. Writing down daily objectives, from completing a walk to reading a technical chapter, transformed his raw survival instinct into a specific, actionable direction. Intention shapes biology. By intentionally rewiring the brain's filtering system, a person can manufacture the resilience needed to direct their own recovery. The long-term physical results of this disciplined process were dramatic. Yuvesh moved from a wheelchair to running 5-kilometer marathons, eventually completing 15-kilometer trail runs. He used his regained mental focus to return to the tech sector. He treated his professional comeback with the same patience as his physical therapy, eventually earning a management certification from Harvard Business School. This wasn't a sudden recovery. Over years of leading global digital initiatives at Lead Venture, he managed teams of 150 professionals and earned the 2023 Delivery and Excellence Award for his impact on product development. Yuvesh replaced his previous fragile version of success with a resilient identity. His reclaimed authority in the corporate world is anchored in the same daily habits he used to survive his collapse. Every setback is data used to refine an ongoing process. Failure only becomes permanent when you stop getting up. You might not be recovering from a stroke, but many professionals feel paralyzed by burnout or a sense of being stuck in their current role. Yuvesh documented the methods that saved him. His book Rise Again and his Clarity Path mentorship program provide the science-backed blueprints containing the 21 habits used in his own comeback. Stop waiting for an external change to fix your situation. Adopt a systematic process to turn your overthinking into clarity and your chaos into stability. Check the links below to explore the Clarity Path mentorship and grab a copy of Rise Again. Your time is not coming. It is already here.